again, multinational alliances. We may see in the coming months people are talking about a new NATO for the Middle East, for example, that even Israel could be a part of and include more moderate Arab states. India is going to have to be a part of these alliances. Now, it is a little tricky because you mentioned, I will say earlier, you talked about Iran, which is a point of disagreement between Israel and India.
Yes.
Whether you talked about whether Prime Minister Modi would address that, for example, in the case. Personally, I don't think, I would be very surprised if there's any public statements about that.
Sure.
Because keep in mind, this is now the U.S. and President Trump who is driving the situation and strategy with Iran, not Israel. It's President Trump, and certainly Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu are going to want to respect that role and not deal it. But you can be sure that behind closed doors, and maybe even now there at the airport, first thing Prime Minister Modi is going to want to hear from Prime Minister Netanyahu was what is the latest that he knows on the situation with Iran. Because we
fascinating observations, Caleb. Thank you. Stay with me because I want to quickly give closing thoughts to Sanjay also. Sanjay, Prime Minister Modi all set to make that address in the Knesset. We all can't wait to hear from Prime Minister. But many here in India from the Parliamentary Committee have also gone on to talk about the messaging. They have questioned the timing of this visit. What is the message overall for India's broader Middle East policy?
You know, fundamentally, the question is whether India can serve the Palestinian cause by compromising its defense position with Pakistan. It cannot. That is today India's own security is paramount necessarily and obviously to India. Israel is a critical partner for India. Israeli technology, Israeli weapon systems are critical for Indian defense. At the same time, Israel is a relatively isolated nation. It's not able to do business with a lot of countries that really have closed doors to Israel, and therefore it suits both people. Necessarily without mutual interest, we wouldn't have come as far as we have. But really these are separate tracks, and there will be questions raised about this visit inevitably, but this is a separate track. It is driven by security, it is driven by defense concerns, and so it must be.
Absolutely. The testament to that alliance is very much visible from the kind of bonhomie that we've seen between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and of course the colors worn by Prime Minister and Sarah Netanyahu. Caleb Ben David, here's a very special thank you to you for joining in on CNN News 18 and sharing in your fascinating insights with us here from Israel. Many thanks to our guests also for joining in live from the studios of CNN News 18. That's all I have for you in this broadcast. Thank you so much for watching.
An honor, Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, First Lady of the United States. Second Lady of the United States. Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure. Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before, and our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked, and America is respected again, perhaps like never before. After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year. And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. Our top focus remains on the historic visit that Prime Minister Modi has undertaken to Israel for the next 2 days. He has just landed at Tel Aviv at the airport where he was received by the Israeli Prime Minister and the First Lady. There's a lot lined up for the Prime Minister and for our viewers here as well. But first, let's get you started with the headlines. Israel rolls out the red carpet for Prime Minister Modi as Netanyahu receives his dear friend at the airport. Big affirmation of Delhi-Tel Aviv connect. Prime Minister Modi exchanges warm greetings with Israel's First Lady upon arrival in Tel Aviv, shares laughs over saffron hues of his pocket square and Sarah Netanyahu's outfit. A rare honor accorded to Prime Minister Modi. Israel invites the Indian PM to address its parliament. Trump was the last head of state to be granted the August stage. Prime Minister likely to raise India's interest in acquiring Israel's proven defense tech, the Iron Beam, as a part of the ambitious Sudarshan Chakra shield for key installations. Israel's ambitious Hexagon alliance also on the table. Amid Rahul Gandhi's daily surrender and compromise charge against the centre of the US trade deal, BJP turns the tables on the Gandhis, accuses the entire dynasty from Nehru to Rahul of being compromised. CNN News 18 exclusively accesses video of Pahalgam attack mastermind Saifullah Qasuri, threatening of using sea route to attack India next. Trump repeats his mediation claim during Indo-Pak conflict, says Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif told him that 35 million people would have died had it not been for his intervention. J&K Chief Minister Omar Abdullah backs Mamata Banerjee over her demands to rename West Bengal, says centre should accept such demands from states uniformly and without any bias. All's not well in the DMK Congress alliance in Tamil Nadu. CNN News 18 accesses inside scoop from rival camps as seat-sharing talks progress. DMK refuses to offer more than 25 seats to the Grand Old Party. Demand of 45 rebutted. After Supreme Court singer from the CGI over the NCRT Class 8 textbooks having chapters on judicial corruption, top government sources tell CNN News 18 that the controversial chapter will now be removed. NCRT officials likely to face action. Days after Lamborghini Brat in Kanpur, now a Fast and Furious goes out of control in Hyderabad's uber posh Jubilee Hills area. Supercar loses control, crosses over the divider to ram into vehicles on the opposite side. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Israel. He received a ceremonial red carpet welcome from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his wife, the First Lady of Israel, Sarah Netanyahu, as well. There's personal greetings, the warmth that we saw on the tarmac, and the color connect that we saw between Prime Minister Modi and the First Lady of Israel. That goes on to show the kind of rapport that the world leaders share. Remember, this is Modi's second trip to the country. It's aimed at further strengthening the robust strategic partnership that the two countries share. That has only grown remarkably in the recent years. It is a historic first for the Prime Minister because he is going to be addressing the Israeli Parliament, the Knesset. He is going to be the first Indian Prime Minister who addresses the Israeli Parliament. That's going to happen in about 3 hours' time from now. But the big focus area as far as the two countries, when the two world leaders get down to business tomorrow during the bilateral talks, is going to be defense. It's one of the signature aspects of the bilateral ties between the two countries. What is it really that both sides want? What is it that Israel already supplies to India? What is it that India wants further from here on? Well, let's take a look at what exactly it is that Israel already provides India with. UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, are one of the big key pillars as far as defense ties between the two countries go. The Heron, which is used for long endurance surveillance, that is something that Israel already provides India with. The Searcher Mk2, it's used for real-time data gathering. That's something that India has been gathering from Israel. There are loitering munitions that act as cruise missiles. That's something that Israel hands out, that's a deal between India and Israel as well. There is another Hermes 90, which is manufactured in India via a joint venture. That's something that the two countries also have a deep link with. That's something that is only going to be strengthened from here on. The biggest, of course, takeaway or the biggest expectation from this particular meeting between the two world leaders, at least on the defense part, is going to be that of what Israel can do for India as India looks to build the Sudarshan Chakra or the Iron Dome equivalent here in India. Sanjay Suri, my colleague, now joins us. He is getting us live updates from Jerusalem, where the Prime Minister is going to be. Our guests join us in the studio as well. Ashok Sajanar, former diplomat, is with us. Tara Karta, former director of the NSCS, and Major General Bishambar Dayal, defense expert, are with us as well. But Sanjay Suri, let me begin by asking you, the Prime Minister is going to be at his hotel in a short while from now. Usually when he travels abroad, we see expats, the Indian diaspora there, all ready to welcome him. Are those the scenes that the Prime Minister is expecting today as well?
Almost certainly, and we've been seeing people come here since morning. I'm right outside the hotel. This is the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, where the PM will be staying. And it began with a bit of a trickle in the morning, but since then we've had a number of Indians who live here turn up here. There have been people coming individually, people come in groups, and there's a group of young ladies from Kerala who came here with a great deal of enthusiasm because they'll be doing a dance before the Prime Minister and before the other guests who will be assembled here. And this is where the Prime Minister is due in about an hour from now from Tel Aviv. And of course, we know that in Tel Aviv, the PM has had a meeting with Netanyahu. That is quick, almost urgent, because just off the plane and straight into a meeting with the Prime Minister of Israel. This is diplomatically quite unusual, and this is only the first of 3 meetings between the two Prime Ministers. The second will happen at dinner tonight, and this is a private dinner that Netanyahu is hosting for the Indian Prime Minister. Then tomorrow the Prime Ministers will meet again, and that will be at delegation level talks. So within 24 hours, a very packed program by way of direct discussions between the two Prime Ministers, and of course a lot more that is attendant to this.
And a lot is on the table for both sides. There's a lot at stake for both sides as far as this visit goes. And I want to open that up with our panelists who join us here in the studio as well. Tarakarta, I want to begin by asking you, it is going to be the first time that an Indian Prime Minister addresses the Israeli Parliament. What are your expectations from that particular address? What do you think the Prime Minister will touch upon?
I think he will emphasize the unit, what shall I say, the strong empathy between the two countries, the strong defense cooperation, and also something which most people forget. There is a lot of cooperation at other levels in terms of agriculture, water conservation. These are all very, very important to us. I think there are about 200 plus centers of excellence in terms of how we negotiate, we do this on the ground. It's all happening as we speak, and I think it's been going on for quite a while. So people tend to see just the defense partnership, but there's a lot more than that. Right now, also, inevitably, I think I'm waiting to see if this happens, whether there is some kind of a message to say that at this point of time, India has always stood for peace. We've always said that we don't want this region blowing up, not because morally, we have this thing against war, but it's also against our national interests.
Correct.
You want that IMEC corridor to go through, you want the trade and connectivity, you want a bunch of things which is not served by this war. So perhaps some of that might come out as well, though we can't, you can't really preach to another country, but sure, nonetheless, right? So, and finally, I'm hoping that this deal will produce something very important to us, which is what we call very high security oversight to terrorism efforts, the last mile thing. That is very important.
Absolutely. And before we talk about what comes next, these are visuals coming in live from Tel Aviv, where the Indian Prime Minister is in talks with the Israeli Prime Minister, his Israeli counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu. These, of course, are informal talks, so to say. The official bilateral talks, the delegation level talks will happen tomorrow. But this is the first meeting between the two world leaders that is taking place right after Prime Minister Modi's arrival in Tel Aviv, before he addresses the Knesset, and then, of course, a private dinner that's being hosted for him by the Netanyahus. Sanjay, my colleague, continues to be with us, getting us more details. Sanjay, this is the first of those 3 meetings, like you were pointing out as well. This is going to be more of a casual, informal meeting, so to say. Business really would be discussed tomorrow. Is that what we're learning?
Oh, certainly not. I wouldn't think so. This first meeting has been slotted in very deliberately, naturally, and it wouldn't be half an hour or 40 minutes of casual talk. Certainly, it would have been pre-decided what the two leaders will want to talk about. There would have been an agenda, and a very serious agenda, and the seriousness of it is underlined by the immediacy of this meeting. So it is not likely at all that this would be a casual meeting followed by two serious meetings, the first serious meeting followed by two serious meetings. That certainly is what we're looking at.
And we'll find out soon enough what exactly it is that the world leaders are discussing. We usually do get the details of what they discussed via a video that eventually comes out. We'll know what exactly was discussed in that meeting. Sanjay, for the moment though, thank you so much for getting us the latest from Tel Aviv. We'll of course keep coming back to you as we get those live pictures from there. But Ashok Sajanhar, I want to ask you this. You know, this hexagon of alliances that there's an invitation for by Israel. Is that going to be a diplomatic tightrope, so to say, for India to either accept or not accept, and which way India really goes for that offer?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. You know, we don't really at this moment have the final contours of this proposed hexagonal alliance. You know, right now we know that it is India, it is Israel, and maybe, you know, some countries in the Mediterranean, maybe Cyprus, maybe Greece, they make sense because, you know, they have adversarial relations with Turkey. And Turkey is a hostile power as far as both India is concerned and also Israel is concerned. So it makes sense. But beyond that, you know, whether it wants to go to other Middle East countries, is the United Arab Emirates, are any of the other countries also a part of this? What about Africa? There is, because there's mention of Africa also. Of course, as far as India is concerned, it has a great connect with a large number of countries. And then there is also some speculation that it could go even to Southeast Asia. So I think first we really need to know the contours. What is it proposed? Hexagon, okay, 6 countries, we have 4 of them. UAE might be another, India and the United Arab Emirates, we are tied together both in IMEC and I2U2, etc. But, you know, whether do we need to come in a defense partnership, in a security partnership, that's what it is. So first is in terms of contours, second is in terms of objectives. Now, you know what it is, Mr. Netanyahu has mentioned, that it is against the Sunni axis and against the Shia axis.
Yes.
You know, Shia axis meaning it is basically from Iran, that has been emanating from Iran. It is the Houthis, it is the Hezbollah, and then the Sunnis, you know, where you have the Hamas and some of the others, you know, maybe from Qatar and the other Muslim Brotherhood, etc., etc. Now, I think we really need to sit back and pause, because India has excellent relations with a large number of countries in the Gulf, you know, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's Bahrain, whether it's so many of the others. So, you know, we can't really have a blanket under which, you know, we say Sunni axis, all Sunni countries are there. Meaning there are 54 countries of the Islamic world. And India over the last 10 years has really reached out to a large number of them. And we have excellent ties with them, partnership with them. And it's not only because of that. We have about 9-10 million of our people, diaspora, who are working in that region. You know, in terms of the biggest trading partners, we have United Arab Emirates is the 3rd largest.
Yes.
Saudi Arabia is the 4th largest. In terms of our energy requirements, in terms of the investment that is coming from United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, $75 billion each. In terms of the remittances. So, you know, it's a very critical part for India. So we really need to go deep into it. I don't know whether this whole idea was shared with the Indian authorities before Mr. Netanyahu decided to come, you know, or come out open on the 22nd of this month.
Yeah.
So I think for most of us, you know, those who are following these developments, you know, in think tanks and analysts, etc. I think it's really come as a new idea. We'll really have to go deep into it, and definitely the government will have to go deep into it. But now when the two leaders meet, definitely, this what is the idea behind this hexagonal alliance? Maybe it makes sense in terms of dealing with, let's say, the rise of radicalism, rise of extremism, rise of terrorism, as we have just been talking about.
Yes.
But it needs to be much more focused. It cannot be, such a broad-based sort of, a target objective that this is what we are dealing with, as Mr. Netanyahu seems to have mentioned in his introduction of
And
this
speaking
idea.
of terrorism, counter-terror is something that perhaps binds the two countries together most deeply. And Major Dayal, I want to ask you about that. As far as that particular aspect of ties between the two countries is concerned, when the two leaders do get down to business to talk about all the other deals that would be on the table, in terms of defense, what do you think would be the most important thing that India should push for? What, in your opinion, would that case be?
See, with Israel, we already have number of defense deals going on. Sudarshan Chakra also, if you really look at it, bulk of it is already in process, right? With Bell, we have got a deep, cooperation with Israel in terms of Akash, in terms of, radars, in terms of communication systems. With Alpha Design or Adani Group, we already have, different systems coming in terms of UAVs and things like that. So as far as defense is concerned, except, see, they are not a major manufacturer of warship. They are not major manufacturer themselves of big, fighter jets. They are not major manufacturer. They are only technology hubs. So in technology hub, we are basically looking at cyber technologies, in technologies where today the most important, the artificial intelligence, quantum computerization, utilization into the defense structure. So those are the things, intelligence sharing. I mean, different apps are there, how to counter them. So those could be the only things. But as far as our overall defense thing is concerned, I don't think there'll be any major announcement there. There'll be upgradation, because as we talk of our own Iron Dome or our own Sudarshan Chakra, let me tell you, it starts with, back home if you really look at it, it starts with the radars, detection. Then it comes the first deterrence. First deterrence is the weapons which are already with the army, with the air defense system, then the air defense, then comes the S-400, then integration of all this, then into command. We already have our Bell, Bharat Electronics has already produced a system where right up to where the shooter, the sensor, shooter, and the command decision, they're all on the same platform at tactical level, strategic level, and even at the politico-military strategic level. So we've gone a long way. And what we are looking at is no more imports. We are looking at cooperation. We are looking at different JVs coming up here in whatever field, whether we are looking at spikes. So far we have been buying spikes. So far we have been buying spice, which was used by Mirage 2000 in the Balakot. So we would like to jointly produce these things now. We are looking at more a joint production, joint ventures established here in India with entire technology available to us. And
absolutely, technology transfer is something that India has been pushing for with many other countries as well, and that's going to be
technologies they've been holding. You see, let's face it.
And many countries have been reluctant to share that technology with us.
Even Israelis on some of them have been holding some of the key. It takes time, to build these relationships. Like some of our communication system initially, when we have the algorithms from Israel, it took us time to build that relationship. So there is a requirement of joint production, joint manufacturing, their involvement here. Otherwise, let's look at it. Today, India, everybody is looking at Indian defense market, right? India is looking at Atmanirbharta.
Yes.
Everybody still wants to export to us. That's the philosophy. We got to break that, and Israel should take steps. And I don't think there'll be many major announcements there.
And we'll find out what exactly happens there. But even as we discuss what the two world leaders are going to be talking about, the excitement really is building up in Israel that the Indian Prime Minister is visiting. We've seen several people, both from the Indian diaspora there, the expats who live there, and several Israeli nationals as well that are looking forward to this visit for a number of reasons. In fact, let's listen into some of those reactions that have come in from on ground in Israel.
Tell us about yourself, please.
My name is Tzipi. I was in a KIP 86 group, same like him, and I'm very excited too.
So you'll be meeting the Prime Minister as well?
Yeah, I was 1 month before. I was in Young Bharat in New Delhi, so I saw Modi before, so now again. Thank you.
Your name, please, and Tell us about the Bharat Ko Janiye competition you have won.
Can I talk about the No India program? It was fun. Okay, so my name is Ravital Moses. I was actually born in India and I made Aliyah with my family. I come from the Indian Jewish community. I've been living here for a while now, and I had the opportunity, being a part of the Indian diaspora, go to New Delhi and other cities and explore how India has changed. Because usually people see India as post-colonial India, and India is now gearing towards Vikasit Bharat. So that is something that I really explored, and I covered on my own channel and made sure that people knew what India is today.
Talking about how do you look at the visit by Prime Minister? It's coming after 9 years. Last time he was in 2017. Now this time in 2026 he is here. And how excited are you? Because you're going to meet him as well. So how do you look at the visit?
I'll be very honest. When he was here on his first visit in 2017, I was in India and I was watching the news, and I wished that I was there in person, in the flesh to meet him, and I've manifested my dream today. So and he is the first Indian Prime Minister to walk on the Israeli soil. So we are very excited and very happy that we get to represent the community.
Hello. My name is Rajan Vishwakarma, and I'm on the spouse visa here. And I played the game. Yes, exactly. And I work as an online teacher, and I'm very excited to meet the Prime Minister.
Interestingly, talking about the visit, what do you have to say? Because you're going to meet the Prime Minister as well.
Yeah.
Tell him that
We are very honored, first of all, and I like his work and I spread his work, and I'm really looking forward that the India and Israel ties goes way beyond friendship, and they kind of support each other all the time, and there should be a give and take between all the AI and education and all the field that we have. Thank you so much.
So the buzz is building up there, even as the Prime Minister is expected at his hotel after that meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, where the two leaders are discussing, getting down to business really, the minute he has landed in Tel Aviv. Our guests continue to be with us here in the studios. Ambassador Sajjanar, I want to ask you this. There is a lot of stake as far as both countries are concerned, but do you think the stakes are higher for Israel to kind of get the endorsement that it is at a time that it's coming in from the world's largest democracy?
No, absolutely. I think, as we were discussing earlier, I think Israel at this moment, because of what has been happening as far as Gaza is concerned, what happened on the 7th of October 2023, what is happening with US and Iran, and what Iran has threatened that if it is attacked, then all its missiles are going to home in on Israel. So Israel, and the sort of coverage that it has been receiving from all the other countries around the world, Israel is a country that has its back to the wall. It has really been cornered, meaning, of course, America is the only supporter, visible supporter, obvious supporter. So it needs the support of India. As far as India is concerned, India is today in a Goldilocks moment. You have the European Union president and Commission president and the Council president coming here, signing this FTA, big FTA. Before that, you have Chancellor of Germany, Mr. Merz, coming, then Macron coming, then Lula coming, then day after tomorrow, Carney is coming. So the whole world is homing in towards India, because India is, whether it is in terms of the economy that it is doing, 10th largest economy 10 years ago, today 4th largest, third, going to be third very soon, fastest growing major economy in the area of technology. You look at the digital public infrastructure and so many other things that have been happening. And in terms of the leadership of the country, politically stable, where do you find a country of this size and, third, fourth largest economy, etc., and now growing up very well as far as military technology is concerned. So, India is in a very good moment. So, of course, it is a win-win relationship between India and Israel.
Sure.
But to respond to the question that you had, India has a large number of wooers. Many countries are courting India, while as far as Israel is concerned, it needs global support. And India has emerged, as Netanyahu himself said, as a global power.
Yes.
And so, there is definitely this inequality, if I can put it this way. But definitely, this is a relationship that serves the interest of both the countries.
And that's something that will be looked into as well. Before I get in more perspective from our panelists here, I do want our viewers to listen into what exactly transpired when Prime Minister Modi landed in Tel Aviv. Right off the tarmac, there was a light moment, especially between him and the First Lady of Israel. Listen into how that conversation went.
This is good. Sarah, how are you? You see what you wore? Look at the
Yes,
color.
my brother.
This is a wonderful leader.
I know.
Welcome.
Sarah, how are you?
You see what you wore? Look at the
Yes,
color.
my brother.
The bonhomie and rapport that we saw on the tarmac there in Tel Aviv is going to be taken forward over the next 48 hours as the two world leaders get down to business. There's a lot at stake for both countries. How that'll go, we'll keep an eye out here on CNN News 18. But for the moment, it's time for a quick break. I thank my panelists for joining us here and sharing their perspective.
An honor, Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, First Lady of the United States. Second Lady of the United States. Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure. Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before, and our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked, and America is respected again, perhaps like never before. After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year. And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%. Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline.
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5. I'm Akanksha Swarupa. We're getting in breaking inputs coming in. This is with regards to over 200 passengers who were aboard an Indigo international flight from Chennai to Singapore, who were forced to wait inside the plane for nearly 5 hours without receiving any updates about their departure. Now, even a video, as you can see on your screen, of this entire incident was captured, and it went viral quickly on social media, showing the frustration of these passengers who are questioning, even expressing their anger at the crew of Indigo. 200 passengers left stranded. Anvit will shed more light in terms of why they were made to wait so long. Anvit, what are the reasons that you're learning of?
Well, Akanksha, what we are being told is that there were some technical issues with the flight, and flight engineers were called in to attend that. And this flight was scheduled to take off at 7:30 from Chennai to Singapore. It's roughly about 3.5-4 hours journey. But boarding started at 6:30, and passengers were made to board. But after that, this issue was detected, some technical snag. Engineers were called in. They were checking the flight. At the same time, it took them around 3 to 4 hours to check the flight. And between that, the flight duty norms were exceeded of the pilot and the crew. Then the crew had to be changed, is what we are getting to know, and then arranging for an alternate crew is what took time. So all of that took around more than 5 hours, and finally the flight took off around noon. The pilot and the crew could be arranged by 11, and by 12 noon the flight finally took off. So the video that we see, that the passengers are arguing with the with the airline staff and with the local ground staff, is because the passengers were feeling suffocated. The ACs were not working, they were working intermittently, and what we have been told that it became very hot inside the flight. They were elderly citizens, they were infants traveling, so all of them requested to be allowed to get off the flight, off the plane, but they were not allowed. Security was also called in because they were not being allowed to deboard the plane. They were all made to sit for more than 5 hours, and that is the entire chaos all about. Indigo has said that they had arranged for alternative flight, and there were some issues with technical issues for which the engineers had been called in to attend, and during that time, because WTL norms were exceeded, the crew had to be changed.
Several complaints are now being shared on the internet by senior citizens and children who were also passengers. They are complaining that they were being stopped by CISF personnel from exiting as well. Any information coming in from Indigo side? Any statement being issued by the airline so far, Anvit?
See, they have sent a statement. They have regretted the incident, and they've also said that measures that were taken were necessary for operation of the flight. And CISF was called in because the passengers were requesting to be let off on the tarmac. And once boarding happens, it is not as per the SOP, as per the plate protocols. Passengers cannot be allowed to deboard on tarmac. So that was the reason why CISF and security had to be called in. There were also airline staff that is requesting passengers to not exit the plane. We can see in a video that passengers and the staff of the airline and ground staff, they are arguing on the ladder that takes you inside the plane. So they're standing on the ladder requesting to be let out, but staff is telling them that it is not allowed and you have to stay inside. But it was because more than 5 hours it was getting suffocating, it was getting hot inside the plane. Some passengers have also taken to social media to let their outrage, and they have said that it was getting hot, ACs were not working. There were infants in the flight who started crying. There were elderly citizens who were feeling suffocated and uneasy, and that was the reason this entire chaos took place on the ladder. And Indigo has regretted, and they've given a statement that alternative flight was arranged, and this is the reason exactly why it all happened.
Many thanks to you, Anvit, for bringing us those inputs with these harrowing tales. Remember, do not stop at any moment. This after what the entire airlines had to go through in December. With that, shifting focus over to some more breaking inputs coming in from Kerala. The movie Kerala Story hearing is all set to continue tomorrow, is what we're being told. Justice Bechukurian Thomas has said that the rights of the movie should not be released before the hearing is over. Remember, the hearing will be continuing tomorrow, is what we are being told in the latest inputs. Tomorrow morning, the court will continue this hearing and might even give an interim order tomorrow itself. So a lot rests on this order that is expected to happen, but Justice Bechukurian Thomas has said that the rights of the movie should only be released only after the interim order is declared tomorrow. This is with regards to Kerala Story 2. Remember, it has arrived at a very critical juncture in terms of the political climate of the state just ahead of the assembly election. Of course, the ruling government under Pinarayi Vijayan has been training its guns, saying that it is only targeting a particular community and this is only mispropaganda. Let's quickly go across to Neetu Regukumar, who brings us those breaking inputs. Neetu, what more can you tell us?
Now, the hearing will continue tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. as far as the Kerala Story movie is concerned. And Justice Bechu Kurian Thomas has already told the makers of the movie that the title should not be released till the hearing is over. So that is what the justice had orally said. There was the arguments of all sides were heard. The petitioners, there were two petitioners, so they had mentioned even earlier instances when the Central Board of Film Certification took objection to beef eating scenes in a movie or even the title of the movie. The Central Board of Film Certifications Council went on to say that they have nothing to do as far as the teaser and the trailer is concerned, because these are not certified by the Central Board of Film Certification and they have no authority over that. They have only control over what happens inside the theatre. Yesterday, while hearing the case in the morning, Justice Bechu Kurian had asked the makers that he would like to see the movie, and but today they have also submitted an affidavit, and today in court, while the arguments were heard, the justice was heard saying that no one has seen the movie. That is why, even though there is lack of time, we thought we could see the movie, but the makers are not keen on us